While sleeping during the night, a parasite attempted to enter his body through his nose in order to control his brain. But since Shinichi squeezed it before it got very far inside, it ended up burrowing into his right arm instead. While on his way home the next day, Shinichi tries to save a little girl from being run over by a car, and he witnesses his right hand stop the car. Confused, he tries to stab his hand with a knife, but the parasite reveals its form on his hand and breaks the knife. Shinichi is now forced to cooperate with the parasite while keeping it a secret from his parents. Later, Shinichi's parasite directs him to a dog that has been inhabited by another parasite, and he is shown that the only way to kill it is to destroy the heart of its host. Shinichi's parasite gives itself the name Migi, meaning right. After Shinichi impresses Satomi Murano by making the winning shot in a basketball game at school, Kazuki Nagi becomes jealous and picks a fight with Shinichi outside. Shinichi recoils in fear, but Migi forces him to fight back and punch Kazuki. Shinichi later hears from Yuko Tachikawa that gruesome mincemeat murders are being reported in various locations around the world. He learns from Migi that parasites practice cannibalism for survival. Migi senses a parasite nearby controlling a man named Mr. B, and Shinichi heads to an alley to lead him away from other people. Mr. B invites Migi to join him in order to extend their lifelines, but Migi chooses to kill Mr. B and remain with Shinichi. The next day, after Shinichi treats Satomi to pancakes, they see 3 thugs throwing stones at a cat buried in a playground sandbox. Shinichi intervenes and stops them, surprising Satomi with his apparent change in personality. During a school assembly, Shinichi is dismayed to discover that their new math teacher, Ryoko Tamiya, is a parasite and is aware of his secret. After class, Shinichi privately meets Ryoko in the counselor's office, where she declares that she is not interested in fighting and asks him to meet her after school. They meet at a restaurant, where Ryoko introduces her partner, Mr. A, and reveals that she is pregnant, establishing that parasites are capable of reproducing with humans. The next day during class, Mr. A enters the school campus, attacking staff and forcing the students to evacuate. Migi suggests using the crowd of students as a shield to ambush Mr. A, but Shinichi disagrees and runs to the top floor to lure Mr. A away from the students. Migi reminds Shinichi that they must fight together as they're confronted by Mr. A. As Migi and Mr. A exchange rapid attacks, Shinichi takes the opportunity to puncture Mr. A in the chest with a metal table leg. Mortally wounded, Mr. A tries to find Ryoko, but she sets off an explosion with gas tanks to kill him, then escapes to safety. The pregnant and unmarried Ryoko is forced to resign from the school. Shinichi encounters her as she leaves, and she explains that every living organism follows a directive and that parasites were born to feast on humans. Meanwhile, Migi experiments with separating itself for short periods from Shinichi's body. Shinichi's parents, Kazuyuki and Nobuko, plan a trip to the beach. Although Shinichi worries about their safety because of the mincemeat murders, he reluctantly agrees that they should go. Following comments from his parents and friends, Shinichi suspects that he is undergoing psychological changes. When he sees a gang of delinquents led by Mitsuo assaulting Kazuki, Shinichi steps in and stops them, but takes a beating before the gang leaves. A female gang member named Kana Himashima detects something frightening about his nature. After school, Mitsuo and his gang abduct Satomi, and Shinichi tries to intervene, but he is no match for Mitsuo because he refuses help from Migi. However, a senior student named Kamiju arrives with a large group of students to deal with Mitsuo and his gang. Later, after Satomi leaves, Kana shows up to apologize, but when she shakes Shinichi's hand, she again detects something strange. Migi deduces that Kana can sense parasite wavelengths. Meanwhile, a parasite searching for a replicant female body attacks Nobuko and takes her body as its host before attacking Kazuyuki. Shinichi receives a call from his father, warning him about his mother, but he is shocked when she arrives home and pierces Shinichi through the chest. After Nobuko leaves, Migi merges into Shinichi's body to seal the hole inside his heart and saves his life. Shinichi is informed that his father is in the hospital and vows to kill the parasite controlling his mother. On his way there, he meets Makiko Hayase, a young student working at an inn near the hospital. At the hospital, Shinichi becomes angry when his father denies seeing a monster take his mother. He realizes it is because his father is unable to face the truth. Shinichi stays at the nearby inn where Makiko works while planning to find the parasite responsible for his mother's death. Migi explains to Shinichi that, since repairing his heart, its senses are inoperative while asleep. The following day, Migi senses a parasite nearby, and Shinichi runs towards the end of the seawall, where he sees someone who may be responsible for Nobuko's death. Shinichi meets Mamoru Uda, a human who has a parasite fused into his jaw, which saved him from drowning after he fell off a cliff. Shinichi tells Mamoru how he first encountered Migi and how his father ended up in the hospital. Later, Migi explains to Shinichi that it had scattered cells throughout his body to close the heart wound, which explains his physiological changes. Mamoru senses Nobuko, and Shinichi heads in her direction. However, Migi falls asleep after morphing into a scythe, leaving Shinichi to fight alone. Mamoru is badly wounded by Nobuko, and Shinichi arrives to fight her alone. Nobuko wounds Shinichi, but Mamoru executes a surprise attack, killing her. After saying goodbye to Makiko, Shinichi returns to school. The heavily pregnant Ryoko assigns a parasite-controlled host to impersonate a student and keep an eye on Shinichi. Mitsuo suspects that Kana has a crush on Shinichi and picks a fight with him. But Shinichi uses his newfound strength to easily defend himself. Satomi observes that Shinichi has changed since his return, especially when he throws a dead puppy into a garbage bin. However, later, when Shinichi realizes that he has begun thinking like Migi, he gives the puppy a proper burial. At school, Shinichi encounters Hideo Shimada, the parasite sent by Ryoko, disguised as a transfer student. However, Migi doesn't detect Hideo as a threat. Kana believes she detects Shinichi approaching, but it is Hideo instead. Shinichi arrives and warns Hideo to stay away from his friends. Although Shinichi acknowledges that she has the ability to sense wavelengths of certain types of people, Hideo wonders why Shinichi cannot always sense his presence and thinks his parasite may have a weakness. Takazawa, the chief of police, interviews Shinichi's father, Kazuyuki, about the parasite that attacked his mother, Nobuko. Kazuyuki confirms her likeness in the parasite's form in a sketch drawn by Haruki Tachikawa, a criminal profiling illustrator and the older brother of Yuko. Yuko has become suspicious of Hideo. Later, she witnesses Hideo being hit by a baseball, but remaining uninjured. While attempting to patch things up with Satomi, Shinichi is interrupted by Migi, who senses Hideo preparing to take on Mitsuo and his gang. Shinichi dismisses Hideo and warns the gang and its leader, Yano, to leave Hideo alone. Later, Satomi maintains her distance because of Shinichi's changed personality. Meanwhile, Yuko follows Hideo and discovers his ability to change his face, sharing her knowledge with her brother, Haruki. The next day, Yuko confronts Hideo in the art classroom while keeping a bottle of paint thinner close at hand for protection. Yuko throws the paint thinner at Hideo when he attacks her, then jumps out the window to safety. The chemical causes Hideo to lose his mind and go on an uncontrolled killing spree. An evacuation is initiated, but Shinichi re-enters the school. He finds Satomi alive and takes her off campus to safety. Migi senses that Hideo is on the rooftop, so Shinichi travels to the roof of another building meters away. There, Migi helps him throw a rock through Hideo's chest, killing him. In the aftermath, reports confirm that victims, including students, teachers, and policemen, were massacred by Hideo. At a high-level government meeting, officials decide to keep the existence of parasites a secret. A scientist named Dr. Yui reports that parasites can be identified by plucking hair from anywhere on the body, as the hair stays alive for a short time. Consequently, a new form of greeting becomes popular, pulling out a strand of each other's hair. Shinichi finally patches things up with Satomi after she thanks him for saving her. However, he hesitates to tell Kana the truth about his condition, even though she can sense his presence. When Satomi questions Kana about Shinichi's change in personality, Kana denies noticing any difference. Meanwhile, a parasite named Goto, disguised as a man wearing gym clothing, murders armed members